welcome to Total Packets. Hi, my name is Corey Younger. I'm your co-founder and host at SDN Totter, and I am here with a few fellow women in technology. If you ladies want to introduce yourselves.
I'm Karen Lopez. I'm Data Chick on Twitter, and I blog at datamodel.com.
And I'm Lynn Greiner. I'm a freelance tech journalist, and I'm at LynnGR on Twitter.
Yeah. So, I'm fairly new to the tech industry, obviously.
Yeah.
And my experience has been, that everybody's very welcoming of women with this new wave. I think there's a big awareness around, okay, only 18% of these careers are held by women. Mm-hmm. How do we get more? And obviously, we have we're all at different stages in our careers. So what was this like for you guys? What was it like growing as a woman in tech?
So I've been in tech for about a little over, I normally say 20 years, but it's really a little over 35 years. And I started my career working in US military defense systems. Let's say there were very few women in US military defense systems, and I was working on the Strategic Defense Initiative, which was it was called Star Wars, under the Reagan years, and I worked at the Pentagon and some other government facilities, and I felt very alone at the time. But since then, I got out of defense consulting because that was a very difficult thing, and I've worked in retail and utilities, and then now I'm working mostly with software and hardware vendors and everything, and it's really exciting. And I know you brought up before we did this that sometimes women don't want to be identified as a woman in tech, they just want to be a tech, and I so get that.
Yeah.
But I also think that the technology profession has a problem, a challenge to solve in all kinds of diversity. I tend to focus on the women in tech thing and noting when people have all male panels or no female speakers, because what I tell people selecting female speakers is that if you can't find one, it's because your network itself isn't broad enough, and you need to fix your networking. It's not an issue with we can't find any women, it's that we don't know any women.
Yeah.
And so that's my big push. A lot of people deal with women in tech things dealing with career and retention, all important problems. In Canada, I was a Women in Technology national spokesperson, and my focus was on getting actual girls around 9th and 10th grade to take more STEM courses, because that's a limitation in Canada. If you don't take STEM courses, you really can't get into a computer science program or anything these days. That was my focus. Other people focus on the career stuff, but I think we have both a pipeline issue, but the bigger problem right now is retention.
Yeah. So my mission with Total Packets is kind of to showcase that we are out here, because you're right, we do exist. It's a problem of, if you can't find us, it's a problem of either A, you're not looking hard enough, or they're just not in your immediate network. Mm-hmm.
Or else you're looking straight at them and you're not seeing them.
Yeah. That's true too.
Hence mansplaining.
Right, how many times have people said, oh, I thought you were just so-and-so's wife?
Yeah.
With the word just in there.
I used to have a boss, a very tall, imposing, elegant man, and he and I took shameless advantage of that. He was about as technical as a pot of petunias. And we would go to meetings with vendors, and I'd be trotting along behind, and they're going, oh, isn't that cute? He brought a secretary. Yeah, right. I was the techie in the house, and I'd ask these innocent little questions, which the vendors, thinking, oh, isn't that cute, would answer honestly and shoot themselves in the foot. It was great fun. We enjoyed it a lot.
It is kind of fun. For me, whenever people are like, oh, maybe you don't know what you're talking about, and then you prove them wrong, and then the jaw kind of drops, and you're like, oh, maybe I should have paid more attention to this woman at the table. I had a conversation regarding that with another woman at the conference.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, I'm guessing you struggle with both the youth thing and the female thing, meaning people assume that younger people just don't know because they're younger. And I struggle with... It's
ironic because it's my last name.
I know. And the other is that people assume that I don't know because I'm older. So I couldn't know about cloud or scalability
or even
social
gas
media.
a cell phone.
Yeah, or use any of these technologies and blog. Oh, you blog? Yes, I do. So it's this kind of, like, I feel like I've been through, like, especially working in defense, where everyone assumed females were secretaries, and now that I'm older, people assume that I don't know about this newfangled technology intertubes thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is hilarious if you look at some of those pictures they were showing. Who was at Bletchley Park running the code breaking? It was the women.
Yeah, we were the original computers.
Women were the original
computers. A lot of people
computers.
are tired of hearing that, but I love saying it.
Yeah.
Yesterday was Ada Lovelace Day.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the first programmer.
And at this event that we're at Convoc Gold, I almost said that right, there's going to be a WIT event starting just in a little bit, and I want to stop there to support that initiative.
Yeah.
But there's this big contentious issue, is are events doing anything by having a WIT event?
Yeah.
Is it just another checklist on an event, or does it really help? And I say it does help, but what I define as success at an event is, are we seeing enough female speakers or other diversity thing? Like, I just happen to focus on gender, but it could be all kinds of diversity that we suffer from. Like, how many female Latina IT workers have you guys worked with? Not just know, but worked with. So that's my that's a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Especially in Canada, where we have even fewer Latina workers.
I used to work for a multinational. I was in corporate IT for years. And one of the girls in our New York office in the IT team was phoning me for advice because the boys wouldn't talk to her.
Yeah. There was all that too.
And she'd be calling me for technical advice, and helped her as much as I could.
Yeah. I think, so actually right whenever I started my internship, there was a IT director who said, don't waste your time talking to her, she doesn't know anything. And he said it jokingly, but I don't think that he realized how much of an impact that had on me. It's like, whether or not that's a serious comment, that's
It's
not
disrespectful.
something that being new in the industry, being there, I mean, there is a huge awareness about people. Some of my friends like, oh, how are you interested in technology? And there's so little women. Like, no, we're here. I'm interested in it because I'm interested in it. What do you mean? How?
You're studying it. It's not just,
Yeah.
And if you stop to think about it, pretty much everybody, male, female, from age yay on up, is a technologist of some sort, because we're using cell phones, we're using computers. We are using technology to solve problems. And it doesn't matter, male, female, whatever the heck. You still have problems, you still solve them with tech. So I don't get why so many guys think because we happen to have XY chromosomes that we're somehow incapable of figuring out tech. I was showing a man how to use the coffee machine in the airline lounge yesterday.
That's my favorite, airline lounge. Here's how you do it. Here's how you get on the Wi-Fi. Oh, you're pretty smart for then they know not to say it.
Yeah.
I used to take fiendish delight in new tech with the boys. The more patronizing they were, the more techie I was, and it served them darn well right.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and it's a journey because, so my mom is one of my biggest mentors, and she always tells me, when I started working in technology, there wasn't women in tech. I didn't realize that I was a woman in tech until we started all these things. But actually, and I'm sure that you guys have heard the statistic that a woman working in the career of technology is twice as likely to quit a career in technology as men. And I think part of that, so there is an intimidation factor.
And part of it's not being taken seriously, as you were saying how upset you got when people say, oh, she doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
They just don't take you seriously. And my former boss and I took advantage of that, as I just told you, had a little fun with it. But I was at a conference even last week, and I'm obviously not a baby in the tech world anymore. And one of the guys with the vendor, who shall remain nameless, started mansplaining something. So I just sort of looked him in the eye and womansplained right back. And then we got along great. We were thick as thieves. As soon as he realized, yes, here is a peer, and yes, it has functioning brain cells, he was great.
And that's the hard part. That's like I recently posted something somewhere on social media about this burden that we carry. And I'm smiling when I say it because I think people are starting to get it, these stories.
Yeah.
So the burden we carry is, that whole, are we too harsh? Are we not smiling enough? Those kind of things. But also that we're constantly having to prove, and we're also constantly trying to push through so we're not invisible. So my favorite thing to whine about is that I'll be in a circle of people waiting to go to dinner. And people will start introducing themselves, and about half the time they will skip over me if I'm the only female in the group. And I will insert myself back into the chain of introductions and say, "Hi, I'm Karen. I do this." And like, oh, I thought you were his wife. And I'm like, wouldn't matter. You should still introduce yourself.
Yeah, it's human decency, not even a woman in technology problem. This is...
And my mother tells me, like, she's the smartest person I've ever met, and she was a high school teacher. She tells me when you get to a certain age, you start being even more invisible.
Tell me about it.
Right. And so people don't even see you, and they ask questions in an event over your head and all that. So I have to be very assertive. You probably do too. You'll probably do. And know that you need to speak up and you have to put yourself forward, which as a Canadian makes me feel very rude. Like I wouldn't go and put myself into that photo. It's like, it's something I've had to learn, that I have to insert myself and be what I consider rude. I wouldn't normally act that way. But if I don't, then I'm not going to be part of the conversation.
And you're invisible.
An interesting thing is there are some career paths in tech that women are totally suited for. Think of information security.
Yeah.
You've got to be risk conscious. You've got to be paranoid. Who is the most risk conscious, paranoid person in the world? A mom.
Women. And women. Right?
Get moms into InfoSec.
Well, and also thinking of, so I think maybe it's all women, but maybe it's just the way my brain works. Like, I'll take one thing and be like, okay, this is not just security here, it's security here, and then you relate it back to different things in an organization. So I think that's also just kind of the struggle of a career in technology is, do you hold yourself into one sector? Because
there's a need for generalists and a need for specialists. The thing is, they got to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Because the generalists can see, as you said, this issue here applies to this issue here.
Yeah.
The specialist can be totally focused on, we got to fix this. Here are some possible ways we can fix this. And then the generalist will say, well, maybe we can do it this way in this area as well.
Yeah.
And between the two, you get magic.
And one of the interesting things is, I mean, we're at what's basically an infrastructure event, but I'm in the data management world and I'm in the data profession. And at one point, the data profession had a really high percentage of females, like maybe 45% or more, like one of the highest.
That was before it started getting fashionable.
Right, and before everyone loves data people. But the thing is that I still go to events where there are no female speakers in the data track.
That's sad.
We are still having panels where there are no females. I'm working with a infrastructure vendor right now that's putting on an all-male panel at an event coming up. And basically they told me, we don't want women on our panel because we want people to come to our session. And like that for me is like, where do I push back now? Like I've pushed back with privately, I've pushed a little bit back publicly. I talked to the men on the panel who I know, like, why are you on a manel? You should not tolerate this.
I like that term.
Yeah, that's a common term, manel. And the thing is
I
that
call their wives and just see what the wives think about
I know
there being
all
no
but
women.
so I know all but the moderator. Know them very well because they're in the data area and I am too. And I'm not attending the event, so I can't try to insert myself. So I feel like I'm an outsider trying to help them. And I've literally been told, but we want famous men on our panel because we want people to show up. And I'm like, you don't even know how wrong it is what you said.
Yeah.
And I want to help you because this is not going to look good for your brand.
Yeah.
And it's a change for your brand. You've always been really inclusive. And I want the event to tell them, please listen, don't have a manel. And so even if there's no time to get this fixed because they're going to resist it, now I want to go to the event. why in this profession, which is a data event, are we having all male panels? Like, why are we allowing this?
Yeah. And that may be part of the reason why, so not everybody who's new to a career in technology, we don't have the opportunity to go to every event.
Yeah.
But we do see what's televised
Yeah.
and what's streamed. And those are the panels. And if the panels are made up of entirely men, you get this skewed image of a
Yeah.
career in technology of, oh, well, I guess it really is all men. And
No.
Yeah.
it's not.
And then they say to me, well, we don't want to pick people based on their gender. And I said, no, you want to exclude people based on their gender. Let's be
Yes.
clear here.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, I really don't think every panel at like if it was a breakout session and they just happen to have 3 panelists and that's all they get, because putting panels together in events hard, because
It's
you have
hard.
to find people who are already speakers or already attendees,
Yeah.
so you've already knocked it down. You want people who are good panelists. You can have really great technical people who aren't great panelists.
Oh no, they can't say a word.
Yeah. Or
At
they
least not in a language anybody else
yeah,
understands.
yeah. Or you have people who are really great at talking, but not an expert in the like that. I consider myself that way on a lot of panels. Like, great at being witty and snarky and making good observations, or just being contentious, which is also important. But they think they need experts on a 5-person panel, and I don't think you need experts on it. You need people who are panelists.
Yeah.
And to say that you don't want women because you want people to show up is just like, what decade is it again?
I'm
Yeah.
jaw dropped. to hear
Yeah,
that, but
yeah. But meanwhile, we have a lot of events where there are plenty of females, or at least like here. This is my first Commvault event, and I don't feel like people have ignored me. I don't feel like, and I did see females on the stage, and I did see like it felt inclusive as much as many of these, especially infrastructure events are.
Yeah,
That made me happy.
I didn't feel like a minority here.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be a minority.
Yeah.
But to be treated as one is not.
Yeah.
So I think that's a shift that's going on in the recognition of, we need to be cognizant about the decisions that we're making. And I think that this event did a really good job of that.
Yeah. Well, and we can always be better, but
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We can always be better, but it's a step in the right direction.
And any career choice that's considered non-traditional, for a while you will be in the minority.
Yeah.
But as long as you're taken seriously, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And removing obstacles. Like, I just feel like
Yes.
my job is to remove obstacles for anyone, not to force people into a profession they don't want to be in, but let's remove obstacles.
And also, if you don't mind me soapboxing a bit, it drives me crazy when everybody is equating technology and STEM careers with coding.
Yeah.
Coding is just one little tiny piece
Yes.
of the pie.
Yeah.
You can build stuff, you can fix stuff, you can
can
play with
support
hardware
stuff.
if you don't like software, you can write documentation, you can do research. There's lots of things you can do without knowing one teeny bit of code.
That's right.
And I mean, I
Maybe
will
some
confess,
scripting, but no
Especially
code.
with
Yeah.
a lot of open source.
Yeah.
I mean, I've run the gamut. I have written code. I have taken stuff apart and put it together, and usually it worked afterwards. I have written documentation. I've done the works, but I've been at it for a while, and I started when you had to be a lot more hands-on to make anything work. Right now, everybody wants simplicity. Everybody wants turnkey. Everybody wants push the big red button and it will happen. We didn't necessarily have to have a big red button. We would have to create the big red button, wire it, and then see what happened when we pushed it.
Yeah. It's a difference in when you start your career in technology, and
Yeah.
so it's definitely different. And I want to acknowledge that us speaking about this, it's not a we don't like being only a woman in technology, we don't like being identified as this. It's not a let's be so serious about this issue, but these are the conversations that I think happen between women a lot.
And now
It's
some
not
men,
seen.
it's
And
nice.
and
Yeah.
men too, yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
is-
can remember 3 a.m. sitting on the floor of the computer room with a male colleague. You've probably never seen a card read punch, let alone used one. But before keyboards and stuff, you would have punched cards, and you could have the computer punch cards out according to what your program told it to do. And when we were testing the program, 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting on the floor with our hands out, catching the little chads that fell out of the cards, because each one had the number that it had punched out, printed on it,
Oh yeah.
to see if the right things were being punched. We got a little spacey at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, I think we can all work together as men and women in technology, but
We were just colleagues,
yeah,
and we giggled a lot.
yeah, we're all just techies. That's all we are at
That's
the end of the
ultimately
day.
it.
Maybe they should just hand out propeller beanies to all of us.
All right, well, thank you, ladies, and thank you so much. Let's go head out to the rest of our conference, right?
Great.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
you.